Greetings to you. My name is Tara Brabazon and I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 199, How to Manage Opportunities and Create Priorities. Fantastic request from Ashley. Hello Ashley. After I produced that vlog on how to manage being overwhelmed, Ashley sent me a really powerful and brilliant email about, okay, well, I'm feeling a little more in control now, I'm not overwhelmed, but how do I sort of make those opportunities and create priorities? How do I move forward in my career for my future? And that's a brilliant vlog request, so here it is. And why that's so important, I think, is when we're thinking about opportunities and priorities, it's about us understanding who we are and creating that balance between our private lives, our private responsibilities, and our public lives and our professional future. So I'm so glad that Ashley did something brilliant. And I, again, would never have thought of this. She linked up opportunities and priorities. Because, of course, the best opportunities in the world are wasted if you can't do anything functional or useful with them. So I always compare opportunities and priorities like, okay, well, you have an opportunity of traveling in a really, really posh car. That's a great opportunity. But if that posh car is going in the wrong direction and not reaching your destination, priority, then that opportunity in the posh car is, you've guessed it, wasted. So actually we need to start with priorities rather than the opportunities. I often think about priorities as a window, and we need to open the window of the priorities so when an opportunity comes, we can reach through the window and grab it. This was a fascinating vlog to research. The research materials, they're pretty uneven. And I think the challenge with the priorities literature is everybody's priorities are sort of different. So how do I gather all of that into the vlog today? And the challenge of that is, I suppose, is I'm aware your priorities are different from the priorities of your mates, your mum, your dad, your kids. Your priorities are different. And of course, your priorities are different from mine. So how do I construct something that's meaningful for all of us today? And look, priorities do move and transform through your life, but also through your age, your family responsibilities, where you live, your regional responsibilities, your work-life balance, if you want to use that cliche, but also your capacity or desire to move geographically, move intellectually, move emotionally. Your priorities probably are different from mine, very different from mine, but what I'd like to offer in the vlog today are two premises, two ideas, two priorities for your consideration. And I've maintained these priorities since I was 24 years of age, and I'm so much older now. So all the other sort of priorities in our lives do change as we age often. But these two I had when I was doing my PhD, and I have these priorities to this day. So see if they are useful for you. And I wanted to focus on these two priorities because they create real outcomes for your future. So here are the two priorities that have, I suppose, propelled my career. Firstly, publishing is a priority. Publishing is a priority. So if you receive an opportunity to produce a piece of journalism, produce a refereed article, to produce a book chapter, to produce a book, you know what? Grab it. Say yes, always say yes, bang. Publishing is a priority. And the reason why I always say yes to publishing is that provides opportunities for your future. So that means, therefore, your schedule on your daily and weekly basis must be open enough so that if that opportunity arises, you can reach through that window and you can grab it. My second priority is also an important one. Second priority, anything that adds a line to your CV, grab it. So that could be professional development opportunities, it could be teaching and learning opportunities, it could be a representational role in your university, in your discipline, in a professional association that you're a member of. So if it adds a line to your CV, say yes. So publishing, say yes. Add a line to your CV, say yes. They're the only two priorities. Thanks. Now, it is important at your stage of career, as it is important in my stage of the career, that our priorities are very sound and very clear. And you might have all sorts of different things that happen in your life, but there's something really powerful early on in your career about deciding on two priorities, and they become the bedrock of your professional life. So we'll talk about the other possibilities and priorities and how we facilitate that. But I tell you what, just today, start with these two priorities and see if they are useful for you. So let's walk them around a bit in the vlog. Now, Ashley stated to me in the request for this particular topic, quote, "We can't do everything if we want to do it well," end of quote. And she particularly wanted priorities that renders her competitive for future positions. So, as I've always said, team, no one can take your publications off you. All sorts of bad things happen in the workplace and universities in our private life, but you know what? No one can take those publications off you. And when I go and do speeches around the world, it's so amazing what happens in the room, the vibe of the room when I'm introducing at Tara Brabazon, 20 books, over 200 refereed articles, journalist for the Times Higher Education. And when that's part of the introduction, the room sort of becomes a bit, ooh. So whatever else you do, the publications matter. No one can take those publications off you. And if you're adding something to your CV, it's showing lifelong learning, and it's showing every single day, every single week, you're learning something new. So therefore, to make the space for these two priorities, you have to say no. And you have to say no a lot. But the strategic yeses that you offer in relation to these priorities will move your career quickly onto where you would like to be. This creates some pretty rapid momentum. So recently, for example, I'll just give you an example about how this operates even for me at my stage of my career, close to death. I received a request, was it a month ago, completely out of the blue, to be an external professor, an external assessor for a university in Israel. Now, I had no real relationship with that university or the people I was being asked to do a review of, no relationship at all really, but I was asked. And what a great opportunity that was, because it gave me an opportunity to look at the Israel university sector, which to my embarrassment I didn't know enough about. So it gave me that learning opportunity. And I got to see how tenure and tenure committees operate internationally and what tenure looks like in these interesting nations. So that was a great experience. I said yes, priority as aligned to my CV. I said yes, I really enjoyed it. And I learned a great deal, and I really saw a professional university organisation too. So I learned a lot as a leader, as a manager, and I learned a lot as an academic. And also it was service to my particular profession, which again is always important to do. So I said yes, I added a line to my CV, I learned a lot, winning. So as you can see, priorities are frames. Priorities are a structure. If you think about it, you put a frame around a painting, and what the frame does is it draws your eye to the painting rather than the very attractive wall next to it. That's what frames do. So priorities are a frame. They draw our vision, our gaze, our agenda, and they shape and they focus us on a daily basis. So if I can move from a metaphor to a simile, priorities are also like a vacuum cleaner of your career. Most of us in our daily lives have lots of dirt and weird stuff and bonker stuff, and just sort of clutters our mind and our house, and it's just a nightmare, our desk. And so what priorities do is they're like a vacuum cleaner, and they hoover up all the weird stuff in our life, and therefore we can see clearly what actually matters. So if your priorities are clear, then you can make decisive decisions on a daily basis that connects priorities and opportunities. So the next question is the tough one. Well, how do you discard the irrelevant stuff? How do you even know what the irrelevant stuff is? Well, I use a few strategies. Firstly, does this opportunity repeat what I've done in the past? And if it is repeating something that I've done in the past, I say no. So I've added a line to my CV. Would I be on the tenure committee for that university in Israel again? No, because I've done it, I've used the opportunity, thank you very much, moving on. But secondly, does this opportunity stop me from finishing something important? So it might be, in your case, the thesis, or in my case, an article or a book. So if that particular opportunity stops me from finishing this priority, I say no. And they're the two ways you can clean up your environment. So if you want your life to be different in a year's time, if you want your career to be different in 1 year's time, then you need to work out what those priorities are and then think backwards. What do you need to do? What do you need to clean up so that those priorities are priorities and you can reach opportunities? I've always said the most radically amazing thing you can do in your life, the most radical strategy that you can ever enact in life, is to live in your present moment. When people ask me, how do you define radicalism? How do you be radical, man? Live in the present. Because so much of what nostalgia does is create sort of this hope and this desire for a past that never existed, and fear or worry about a future that we have no idea what's going to happen, so why worry about it? Yeah. So what we need to do in the past and the future, flood your present. Actually clear out the past, clear out the future, and focus on your decisions in this moment, in the present. And if you occupy your present and your priorities are clearly constituted, which are, of course, adding a line to your CV or saying yes to a publishing opportunity, then all of a sudden you can make very clear decisions in your present. Right? That fulfills those two priorities? Yes. You've made a clear decision. It's moving you forward in your life. That's not a priority. That's not moving me forward. No. So you're living in your present and making clear decisions. No hangovers from the past, no dreams about the future. So what you're doing is focusing on each choice with consciousness and removing the gonna, coulda, shoulda. I'm gonna do this, could do it, should do it, right? Removing all of that stuff, do or do not. Yoda was right, yeah? I'm in the present, I'm making a decision, thanks. So when we clean up our context, we're removing that busy work. And of course, busy work are wastes of time. Busy work is not a priority, right? We need to be efficient, and once we're efficient, an effective life can emerge. Now, all of these decisions emerge through clarity. And the great question for people, I think, particularly from students, is how do I create that clarity today in my decision making? Well, I sort of have three strategies, three questions I go through if things are getting a little bit messy, and I use them and they're pretty successful. Question one, are there parts of my life, are there people in my life that bring me down, girlfriend? I often call them the sinkhole people and the sinkhole situations. So have you got sinkholes in your life where things are sort of bleeding away and it's all a bit weird, right? Second question, name those situations and name those people. Be clear, what's causing the problem? Name it, label it, claim it. What is it? And then three, can you either, and you've got three choices, change your perspective on those people or on those situations, remove them from your life, which is always the best solution. So you either just sort of go, well, look, this is how it has to be. I'll reframe it and think about it a different way. Second way, best way, just cut them away from your life. So if it is a sinkhole, then, stand away from the sinkhole, move in a different direction. Or thirdly, of course, find a way to compartmentalize it. So this is a sinkhole thing that I have to do on a daily or weekly basis. And you know what? I'm going to do that, but I'm going to compartmentalize that into a half an hour, do it efficiently and quickly, and then get on with the rest of my life. Okay, so as you can see, priorities create outcomes. And if you're spending your days or your weeks or your months or your years doing a day, spending the time, and you're not producing an outcome, then you need to change the decisions that you're making every day. I hear so often from students, and I always stop them when they say, oh look, I've worked all day and I can't really see what I've done. That's a problem. You need to make different decisions in your day so you can see what you've done. Remember, it doesn't matter how slowly you progress, as long as you are getting that movement and momentum. The point is, do one experiment at a time, read one article at a time that produces this research, one training session at a time that produces this line on your CV. The goal is momentum. The goal is moving forward. The goal is movement. Now, if days go by where you are not producing outcomes, then you need to revisit your priorities and the decisions that you're making on a daily basis. Use that vacuum, clean up your life. And of course, what makes me laugh is we've got over planners in life, okay? Some of the most inefficient people I know in life are the people that do the lists. You know, the people that go, I'm going to just list. I think I've got a new app that can list what I need to do on a daily basis. So the listers are a problem, because what they're doing is they're overscheduling and they're rendering themselves busy. So they end up with 15 things on their list, and they basically can only do one of them, and they're so overwhelmed by the 15 that they sort of go and have a gin and tonic, right? So never give yourself more than 5 tasks in a day. And in my daily work professional life, I give myself 2 tasks every day. And those tasks I start and I finish. So it's very important that we do not confuse busyness with priorities. Pick an outcome that you can see. Here's the start, here's the finish, and finish it. So I approach work every single day with 2 priorities. And before I even start it, and I do them first. This is the start, this is the finish. So before I have to do other people's stuff and react and get involved in all the emails and stuff, I have 2 priorities, and I get to work and I do those jobs first. So I've done that, and then I move to other people's business. Similarly with research, and you know I plan my research on New Year's Day every year, and I've done that on my big whiteboard, it's upstairs. And I give myself, remember I have 2 hours research every morning, okay, from basically 2 a.m. sometimes to about 4:30. I can sometimes click in another half an hour. And basically it's 2 hours a morning. And I give myself 1 research job every week that I complete in 2-hour blocks during that week. So I only have the mornings, and I use it efficiently, because fewer goals are better goals. So plan less, focus more, and your priorities emerge. And remember, never start anything without an outcome in place. Start with the end in mind. Now, of course, this strategy removes excuses. Excuses block us assembling priorities. The greater question you have to ask is, why are you making excuses? You know, here we go. So it's the people, oh, I didn't do it because. Excuses are not serving you. But you have to ask yourself, what is the function of an excuse? Does an excuse exist so you don't actually have to produce an outcome? So if your goals are clear, your intentions and motivations to complete them are clear, then your priorities suddenly reveal themselves. So all of this is about simplicity, not busyness. And as Ashley has said so evocatively, and she's right, no one can do it all. We all have 3 resources: time, energy, and focus. And simplifying the systems that operate in homes, in workplaces, in your family life, in your PhD, transforms everything. Automate what you can, remove from your life what you can, and create stability in 99% of your life, create a stable life, and then for those 2 priorities, you can create movement and energy and dynamism. And remember, prioritization is not about working all the time. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's using work time with great efficiency. It's making sure there is family time and leisure time, and yes, indeed, even thinking time. Remember, never more than 5 tasks in a day, aim for 2, and plan what those priorities are the night before. So when you wake up, wow, it's amazing. You can start with energy. So I wake up at 2, I have a shower, get myself a cup of coffee, get into my office, put the laptop lid up, there's my work, and start. It's amazing. So don't waste a minute. Focus. Focus. Planning these finite and definitive tasks means that you're not reacting to others, because part of what goes wrong in life is this happens and you give yourself time to do that, but do your priorities first and then deal with the reaction of others, okay? Put your own mask on first before assisting others. Great metaphor for life. Meaningful work ensures that you select opportunities that enable your career and your CV. Always remember though, be clear about what you can control. And this is the trick. Your priorities must emerge from what you can control. And when the priorities and the control converge, that's your focus. Thank you, Ashley. I wish you love, light, and peace. Tea out.